All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 115 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate, and I am super excited if you are here this Monday night joining us or whether you are catching this on the replay. If you think that this could be awesome for anyone within your network, circle, relevant, please hit the share button now and share the love with others. Now, as you guys know, we are in our rare disease interview series, and I am so excited to have another two amazing individuals here with us tonight. I have Pete and Dede of Pete's Diary. And I am so excited for them to tell you what Pete's Diary is all about, how it came to be. So welcome, guys.
Hi. Hey. Happy Monday in the Midwest.
I know everyone in Florida, they're in a much more smiley spot than we are right now.
They're like, why do we always talk about the weather? Yeah, because it's not good.
Because it's really been really bad, and we really need to have some sunshine. So let's all pray for that. So. Yeah. Guys, before we kind of dive into, Rare Disease Day, which is coming up next week, Thursday, and you guys are a part of a big event that's happening on Wednesday, the 27th, I really want to start out with kind of a little bit of the background story. Dede, I don't know if you want to kind of start out with, when you were pregnant with Pete, or Pete, if you want to interject, you guys pick. Who wants to start?
Well, I'm known for my talking, so I guess I'll start.
How have you had?
Yeah, we spend a little too much time together sometimes. Well, our rare disease journey started at my 20-week ultrasound. So I knew that my husband and I were told that there was something wrong with the baby's jaw and with his kidney.
Okay.
And that they didn't know it could be, actually the exact words from the doctor, who did not have a very good bedside manner, and now that I have a lot more experience, I really know he didn't have much, said where there's smoke there's fire, and you might want to consider terminating at this point because of incompatibility with life. And honestly, he had no idea. He just knew something wrong with the jaw, something wrong with the kidney. Ultrasounds are not an exact science. I mean, they can't tell everything. So it really bothers me that he went there so quickly with us. But the good thing is that we knew there were problems. So instead of delivering Peter at the community hospital, which we had planned, that was close to us, we ended up having him at University of Michigan. We were in Detroit area at the time. And, saw a maternal fetal specialist during the rest of my pregnancy, which ended early, surprisingly, at 30 weeks. So we lived with this.
I was just ready.
He had to make an appearance, So surprise, surprise. Yes, he came at 30 weeks and spent almost 4 months in a neonatal intensive care unit before he came home. He had to be trached within a few days of birth because his airway was compromised, and he needed a feeding tube before he was discharged. He couldn't suck, swallow, breathe because all of his craniofacial abnormalities. His diagnosis is golden Haar syndrome. And what do you like to say it means?
Oh, with golden Haar syndrome, it basically means that I'm high maintenance and expensive.
Which is very accurate, actually.
It is, yeah.
But
now, is that syndrome where it falls under the category of rare disease? Is that syndrome considered in that pool?
Yes, it's listed with Global Genes and NORD on their rare disease database, the National Organization for Rare Diseases. It's listed in their database rare. So yeah.
Okay, because you have multiple different conditions. So that is, or we're all, these are not all of your conditions are not all part of just that syndrome, correct?
Well, it's kind of known as a spectrum. So there's a spectrum of birth defects, that are involved, and there's varying degrees of it, as with most rare conditions. So in Peter's case, he had a cleft palate. He's missing his left ear, and he wears a prosthetic right now. So, and he had some cysts in his eyes. His neck was involved, his vertebrae, the kidney issue. So they kind of collectively, sometimes the heart's involved. He has a little bit of heart involvement, but not anything, not anything too critical. But, and I'm trying to think of what else. Sometimes with golden heart, it's asymmetry of the body. So in some cases, people might even be missing an eye and the ear, or both ears. It's typically, though, just affects more one side of the body. So it just gives you a lot of variety to deal with. So he's seen tons of pediatric specialists, the craniofacial and plastics team, and ENT and pulmonary GI. He had hypertension, so nephrology and the renal group, orthopedics for his for his back and vertebrae, ophthalmology. He had some eye surgeries. I don't know, what else have you had going on? It's like the rap sheet.
I love to see this, though, between the two of you, because I think sometimes parents, when they're newbies, I guess you'd say, at this, and they just start out, there's so much, are kind of in that hurricane of all of these things, and finding that smile and those other sides of this are very hard, and looking at it from different perspectives, because it is so much. But you guys have been in this journey now for 19 years, right?
Just about.
Just about. Are you almost 19?
No.
In October, right?
Yeah. He's close. I don't want to think about it. Oh, I had you when I was very young. It's really overwhelming. When he was born, it's so traumatizing. And, I had tremendous grief. I thought I did something wrong when I was pregnant. And, when the geneticist lists out everything that's wrong, it's just, you're thinking, how could so many things be wrong? Right. And it was just a really scary time, because my husband and I had never had any experience with, fortunately, any chronic conditions or healthcare issues with our family or ourselves. So, you're immediately kind of thrown into this world that first you don't really want to be part of. And, it's just, a lot of unknown.
It's a ton of juggling. And I always say that to parents, is I'm like, it's kind of like a hurricane, a typhoon, and a tornado at the same time. And like 7 years later, I really feel like you never get even a good grip till about 7 years in, like a good, like you feel like
True. It's true. Yeah.
Because a lot of those couple of first years, I feel like a lot of times 3 to 4 years, you might have gotten one answer, but then they're sending you to the next specialist to see if that was actually accurate of an answer. That it takes a little bit. It just takes a while in that journey of time. But you guys, with all of this, obviously have come kind of full circle on a lot of things, right? In your journey.
Yes, it's been interesting, huh?
Yeah.
He's graduating high school, so we've had doctors, starting from you should terminate your pregnancy. So everything from that to, he'll never eat, he'll never, live on his own. He'll never, I think they weren't even sure if he'd walk or, talk with trach and everything, and his verbal skills and things like that. And now he's a public speaker. So, like anybody with any parent of a child that has special needs, or anybody with special healthcare needs, to prove the doctors wrong is always, like, yay, we did it. So it's always triumphant. Not that you want to, in some cases you want to prove them wrong, but most of them are well-meaning. It's just, those are big.
Let other parents know, like you're saying, that do not let that be your end-all answer. When you hear that at that very beginning, that really means nothing. It's really your mindset, like, we're going to do this. And look at you, Pete. Holy Toledo.
We had some good NICU nurses, because I was there every day for nearly 4 months. And I remember one of them told me, never let a doctor take away your hope. You have to be realistic. You do have to be realistic, but there are no absolutes. We always, so through the years, I've always fallen back on that. My husband discussing surgeries and things for Peter, and consults with doctors. It's like anyone that said that they had a crystal ball and they could tell everything about Peter's future was really not part of a long-term team we created, because there really aren't any absolutes, and you just don't know. There's too many unknowns, especially with rare conditions, because they are rare and every single one of them is so unique. I mean, even within Golden Heart syndrome, there's so many different varieties of things that people have that they're dealing with. So yeah, we've just
definitely.
That's
and
one
to that, Dede and Pete, I'm sure over this time, like you were talking about the bedside manner of the doctors and whatnot, I can never stress enough that you need to develop your medical team that is in it for you, Pete. You know what I'm saying? That's there for you, that's there for your family. And it's okay to hire, fire, and interview.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's a partnership. And we can talk about that in a little bit. That's one of the things. Pete's Diary is one of our initiatives, is that we want to help patients and providers partner and communicate effectively. And we kind of have these 5 pillars we've created, and one of them is there are no absolutes. Don't take away hope. But it's, for me as a parent of someone with Peter's condition, he is able to have a voice in his own healthcare now. So really the last 3 to 5 years, he's been, involved in all the decision making, because it's his life ultimately, and it's his decision for things. So, and my husband and I tried when he was a baby to make the decisions that had to be made for him for life, quality of life, breathing, eating, swallowing, things like that. His hearing aid was his decision. We waited later. He hears normally on the right side, but he finally did decide to get it when he was 16. It was his decision, 15 or 16. Yeah. And I mean, he's loved it. But it was his decision. So he takes care of it and he's happy with it. And so I think, trying to push him younger, it was a battle I didn't want to fight. So there's good and bad. He probably would have benefited more, but as far as he says he got it, he goes, wow, I've really been missing out on some things. And I'm like, I've been telling you your whole life. You don't know what you're not hearing because you're not hearing it.
Right. Well, and now you can. Well, I know, my son has a problem of hearing in one of his ears, but I sometimes think he likes that so then he doesn't have to hear me. That's
what I do all the time.
He says it all the time. He's like, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. So listen.
All the time.
Yeah, he pulled that on me once. I remember when you were little, and I'm like, that's not going to fly in this house. I'm sorry.
Right.
You're not gonna, no sympathy there. But what I like is the hearing aid is Bluetooth. And so you call him on the phone, and it's like his mother's inside his head. And I think that's really cool. I'm like, oh, I love this.
How awesome is that?
Not really.
Not really, Pete? You gotta tell me all about that. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, tell her about your hearing aid.
The highest technology.
Yeah, so with the hearing aid, it's pretty cool. Okay, there you go. So there's like a little pad right here, and I had a surgery. There used to be like a bone sphere.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they came out with another surgery where there was a magnet, and they basically implanted a magnet underneath the skin, and then it attaches with a bone screw in the skull. So then, with the hearing aid, it can attach on and off magnetically. So it's great.
That.
So yes, he's Magnet Man.
Pretty much.
And it doesn't hear it. Does it irritate you at all? Like, does it irritate in your scalp at all or anything, or no? No? Well, that's good. That is awesome. Thank you for showing us that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, he loves it. And we think that this is like what we do at the schools when we go and talk to students. I really believe, and I've always felt this way when he was in school, when he was younger with his classmates. If you educate kids young about differences, they're not afraid of them anymore, and they're not hateful or mean about it. Or, I think it really kind of eliminates some of the bullying issues. Because like with Peter, his class, when I talked to them about the trach and the feeding tube and things like that, they then felt empowered, like they knew everything. They knew why he had a Band-Aid over his neck, because he used to have a trach and he still has a hole there. And, you know, they just thought it was cool because they were like knowledgeable. So,
Right. No, it does. Knowledge is power, and it really, helps to alleviate any questions, which then alleviates, that's where all the bullying and sometimes all that stuff comes from, is just the unknown. It's like the fear of the unknown. And once you take that away.
and little kids they don't have those assumptions already in their head about things.
Yeah.
So when you talk to younger kids, we just say a trach is just a different way to breathe. It's unusual maybe, but if you see someone with one, now you know what it is. It's just a different way to breathe. And a feeding tube is just a different way to get nutrition that you need if you can't chew and swallow with your mouth. So that really kind of simplifies it and takes that fear away.
Now, Pete and Dede, can we start from just the beginning about, so we go through this, you're in the NI for quite a long time, you guys transition, and now you're 7 years in, 8 years in. When did Pete's Diary actually blossom, and what is it all about? Like, what is the foundation of it?
So the original Pete's Diary was my journal I kept when he was in the NICU after he was born. This was in the dark ages of dial-up internet, I like to say, before, everyone it was before iPhones, if you can believe there was a world before the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, all our family and friends wanted to stay updated on how Peter was doing. And, I'm sure you can relate. It gets challenging to have conversations individually with everybody. So I just started doing an email update, and it started being forwarded, and people were reading it every morning. I would come home. I'd be at the hospital all day. I would come home. My husband would be there at night. And it was sort of my way to it was therapy for me too, to kind of write. And I wrote in Peter's voice. And I just think people enjoyed that and talked about his day. And it was also kind of a nice way to keep track of what happened every day and to go back for tests and doctors' names and things. But we had never published it online or anywhere. Blogs didn't exist then either. So it was really a blog before blogs existed. When in 2012 and 2013, I had been speaking at faculty meetings and things down at Children's Hospital of Michigan in Detroit, which is where Peter received a lot of his care. And I started to bring Peter with me to some of them as he got older. I wanted faculty to hear directly from one of their patients, one of the pediatrics. I said, you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth, but it's going to be real, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and then the book Wonder by R.J. Palacio came out about a boy with a craniofacial syndrome. And that came out in 2012. And friends of mine started asking about, because it started to become very popular in schools, and the whole choose kind message in the book. And then just friends that were teachers asked if Peter would come in and talk to their class as a real life version of Augie. And I'm on the board of directors for Children's Craniofacial Association, or CCAkids. And I mean, that's always been, it's sort of like our extended family.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
So I brought it to the board and said, I think this is a really big opportunity for us to educate kids in schools about craniofacial syndromes. And fortunately, the book just took off, and the movie and everything, the popularity of it really has done great things for the craniofacial community, just to raise awareness and acceptance for kids and families. But that's kind of how we started speaking at schools, and it became big enough where we needed to identify ourselves somehow. So Pete's Diary came back in that form. And that's how it exists today, as the school assemblies, where we teach inclusion and about why it's important to have diverse friendships. And kindness is more than just saying hi to someone. It's actually sitting down and getting to know someone. You have to have the courage to actually engage in a conversation with someone, to be an upstander. So depending on the age level, we talk about those things. And Peter shares his story, and the kids love seeing him hang magnetic things off his head. Yeah. And we talk about, we bring a trach and we show them a trach, we show them a feeding tube. Because again, seeing those things, holding them, understanding what they're all about, it really, takes away stigma and fear.
Right.
So, and then, we're doing more with healthcare. We've participated in the learning collaboratives where, as Peter transitions from pediatric to adult care, we've talked at a transitions conference about that, about, you know, readiness and how you go about it. And, you know, we're kind of just navigating it now.
Yeah.
It's funny because we're seeing a pulmonary doctor right now.
Right.
And we had to find a new one. So we just looked for an adult pulmonary, and his whole life, his specialists have been pediatrics. So, you know, you're in the lobby with all the toddlers and young kids, and now we're in the lobby.
In the lobby with like the old people, you know, with all the,
they all have their oxygen tanks. It's like, you know, we go from one extreme.
Yeah. Like, I'm like the youngest person here.
We are in that transition, I say, from pediatrician to adult physician. It could be its own book to transition.
Yeah. It's a unique journey.
It is a unique journey. And they definitely don't keep the waiting rooms and everything very cute, or the offices. It's very, some of them need a little facelift of decorating as well. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that's, it's funny. It's, So one of the pediatric specialists warned us, he said, they'll treat you differently than they do at the children's hospitals. They don't hold your hand quite as much. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll brace myself for that.
It is a transition. And so you guys have been focusing now not only in the schools, but also through different medical arenas and healthcare.
Yeah. Like I said, I think we have a lot to offer from a patient and a parent perspective, and parenting a medically complex child and being as complex as he is. And that's why we love the platform that Harmony for Hope provides with the rare storytellers. It's such a great charity. Carrie Hughes is just a wonderful person. And, you know, that rare storytellers platform where they're going in and they're speaking at medical schools like Northwestern Feinberg and Rush and Marquette this week, the College of Health Sciences. And these are the future providers of healthcare. And so for them I think all doctors are better people, you know, just they have more empathy and compassion for their patients if they understand them better. But I think too that patients need to understand that doctors are people too.
Right.
And everyone has, you know, a bad day, and everyone has a backstory that you don't know about. So it's a mutual relationship, because I know I wasn't so nice to a lot of doctors when he was a baby, because I was just so exhausted and overwhelmed and anxious. And, you know, looking back, I wish I treated him a little bit better sometimes, but, you know, we all have our moments, right?
Right. And I think that we look a lot of times at doctors that they have all the answers, and they're only human, you know.
Yeah.
You know that on the journey of also finding new doctors and everything, you have to look at the fact that they might not be a good fit for you, but you might not be a good fit for them.
That's true.
You might not be in their wheelhouse, and that's okay. But you got to explore that together and be open to the fact that not everybody was meant to harmonize, you know, together that way. So with Pete's Diary, you guys are taking off on for a Rare Disease Day on this journey of rare storytellers, right? Can you guys tell me a little bit more about that? I know Carrie was on this last week, you know, talking about the actual event itself, but to get into a little bit more, you know, Pete, about what you're going to be doing that day, what it's all about.
Okay, so during the event, I think I'm going to pretty much be talking about, you know, I think it's mostly like healthcare providers are going to be there, like faculty. And I'll be talking to students. I'll be talking to them about just like what it's like to be a patient. And again, it's like what Mom talked about, but the getting to know your patient, and like, you know, having that, you know, understanding that, you know, doctors are people too, and, you know, getting that connection.
Right. And telling them your experiences. Do you share, or will you be sharing some of your experiences through hospitals and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the hearing aid, and probably about some of the bigger surgeries I've had, and the doctors, and
things that have helped you, and things that maybe not so much. And
right.
you know, like one of the things I think is always important for healthcare providers to understand is everyone's in a different place of acceptance and experience with wherever they are in that medical journey. You know, were they just diagnosed? Have they been living with it for 18 years? So you have to understand how much can be processed and understood in that moment when you have a conversation, because, you know, a conversation with us today is a lot different than it was 10 years ago. Right. And so, you know, I mean, I think we've all grown, I hope. We're a little better at it. But, you know, and Peter's going to talk at Marquette. He'll talk, I think, more about pre-op, you know, how he gets so anxious. He's had 30 surgeries. So, you know,
wow.
That leaves a mark. Yeah. You know, it's, you know, like he's told me that he can actually taste anesthesia in his mouth if he sees a surgery on TV or on a video. So things that doctors might not understand that I really don't even understand, that he can share insights like that child life specialists and how much they help and for anxiety, and of course anti-anxiety meds and pre-op that Peter likes a little too much, but
they work.
They help him, you know, and it does make a difference in the fear and the anxiety. But I think he's going to talk about he had a really major jaw surgery. And it was a really good example of collaboration by a lot of different providers. Yeah. There was the orthodontist and the plastic craniosurgeon that it took a year to plan the surgery, the CAT scan, and then the company that made the bone models, the 3D bone models out of the CAT scan, and then the company that made the actual customized implant in California. We actually went to the company TMJ Concepts that made, Peter has a titanium implant in his jaw, and we were in California and I contacted them. So we actually got a tour of the facility and saw how they made his implant. Yeah. It was just, and we're still in touch really with them. And to me it was
just a perfect, like, you know, collaboration. And
partnership, collaboration. And, you know, I feel like I was kept informed of anything that, you know, the entire surgery was planned out virtually before he was in the operating room. And the surgery was a good 8 hours long. And there was neurosurgery involved in ENT and plastics. You know, there was a lot of people in that room. But everything was communicated so well. It was just, it's like a good case study to me of how things can go right.
When all the parts are working together.
Yes, because we've certainly had experiences where they went wrong, and not catastrophic, but you know, just I'm sure you've been there. Yeah.
Yes, I have. But I think that is what gives us the knowledge to know what to ask for questions. You know, when you've been on this journey for over almost 2 decades now. You know, that you know the things that can happen and how do you be proactive. And so you guys are able to teach others, you know, whether that be the medical providers, other parents, you know, schools, whatnot, you know, different things that they may not know, and become kind of the experts on that. But you guys are like a dynamic duo. I love it.
It's what every 18-year-old boy wants, to be hanging out with his mom.
Right. My 21-year-old doesn't always think it's awesome.
It's not. Well, so the other cool thing, see, Harmony for Hope is a perfect platform for this guy, because he is a rare rock star in the true sense of the rock star word, because what is it that you do other than, you know, be high maintenance and expensive?
Well, other than that, well, I think that's still high maintenance and expensive, but to add on to that, I'm a guitar player. I like, you know, electric guitar.
I saw something with you playing a guitar today.
Yeah.
Do you perform? I know. So the Rare Storytellers is part of the Harmony for Hope, but they also have the component to it of sharing, like, the gift of music, right? I mean, that's a big part of this. It's all through music and stories, correct?
Yes.
You know, and
the tagline I think they use is that every song starts with a story.
It does. It really does.
And I love that, because it's true.
And Carrie, like you were saying, is wonderful. Now, so Pete, do you perform there as well? Will you be doing some of your music background as well?
Yeah, I'll speak and perform.
Yeah, he'll be speaking. There'll be 3 youth speakers. I think you're going to interview another one tomorrow.
Yes.
So Yeah, this year they're doing youth speakers. So there's 3, Peter and 2 other young ladies. And then Peter's going to play with Tanner Shep. And I think there's a drummer coming too that, yeah, they're going to just kind of jam for this, like, well, Peter's like an AC/DC Guns N' Roses kind of guy. And Karen's going for a coffee house vibe. And I'm like, Peter, you got to kind of like come up with some other songs. Yeah, like take it down a little.
Right.
But,
Patience. That's it.
So, but he has.
If I would have known this, I would have had you play some AC/DC tonight.
Yeah, I almost told you to bring your acoustic up or your.
Yeah. We'll have to do that on another day, on another show. You'll have to play some of your music. I love AC/DC.
Yeah, he likes to play Highway to Hell on the way back to the OR.
Perfect.
Oh, that's so.
You know, every song has a story. That's the perfect.
When he had his cochlear surgery, the surgeon goes.
House Bells on the way back. I remember that all too well. I was like, yeah.
Nice.
He's like, if that's what you want, I'm here to. I'll find it on my.
It worked.
So.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. So you're going to be playing, but you're going to be more coffee house style on next Wednesday, February 27th, and at Market University, correct?
Yeah, 2 days away.
That's 2 days away. That's not next Wednesday. That's this Wednesday. The 27th, you'll be playing music and you're going to be telling your story. So everybody, if you're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you need to be there. We're gonna drop all that information below. But if folks are listening today, you know, we're gonna drop the information below about the event coming up Wednesday. What other things are coming up or ways to kind of follow Pete's diary, follow the journey? What are the different things that people can kind of link onto to do that on a regular basis?
Well, we're pretty much on all the social media. We're on
like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, so there's Pete's Diary on Facebook. I think it's at Pete's_diary on Twitter, and Pete's.diary on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel that you can find. And we have videos on the YouTube channel from school assemblies and live video chats that we've done with classrooms, and some of Peter playing guitar too.
Yeah.
So Peter actually has a Periscope. He goes live on Periscope every Sunday night and plays guitar. If you want some AC/DC and Guns N' Roses, you're sure to hear that.
Yeah.
So he gets a pretty good following. It's kind of like a Sunday night jam session.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, he has fun. So, and then, you know, I post blogs. We have our school assemblies. We've branched out and created lesson plans to go with them where the students can apply what they've learned from the assembly. So, because what we're doing, we're kind of, in order to be kind and be an upstander, have the courage to be an upstander, I really feel like you have to be confident with who you are. You have to be confident and comfortable, know your values, be able to stand up to peer pressure when that happens, because it does to everybody. So we're really focusing on, Peter really shows kids how he's confident with who he is, how he lives confidently with a facial difference. And they kind of drop their jaws, I think, and kind of go, if he can do this, then surely I can. You know, if he can take his ear off in front of 400 kids and, you know, talk about all these things so openly, it really kind of, it makes a really, I think, lifelong impression for them, especially if they've read Wonder. It really kind of like compliments. It's a great like door opener for that. But we're really focused on, you know, how to be confident, how to make these kids confident enough to stand up to things that are right when it's necessary. So the lesson plans kind of, you know, bring that in to reflect on kindness. You know, when is a time that kindness has impacted your life? And we've created a notice, act, check back. So we call it how to be a friend or how to be an upstander. You notice when there's the kid that's never, kids are often part of groups. You see them in groups, but they're never part of the conversation. They're not really included. They're just kind of there. Or they're sitting alone at lunch every day, or they're, you know, in the library alone all the time. And you can notice the kid that looks like they need a friend.
Right.
And then you act. You have to have the courage to take action. So, and that takes courage. You have to be confident. You can grab, we say grab a friend and go talk to someone yourself. And sometimes they're not going to be open to talking to you, and that's okay. They might kind of be shut down, but you have to check back. You have to keep checking back. You don't get to know someone just by having one quick conversation with them. So we're trying to introduce this notice, act, check back concept. And it seems like kids are understanding that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm excited about it, because I really think social isolation is a huge problem. I think that's a lot of the violence in our schools stems from that. And certainly there are bigger problems also, but I think every single one of us can do our part to help. And the notice, act, check back is that. So
that is right.
we're trying to do our little part.
I commend the both of you for doing that. We did, when Wonder came out, we did a huge campaign. That was actually when we launched, and we rented out 2 movie theaters, and we had kids from all over produce signs and posters, and really embracing your uniqueur. I think that's it, is that I think everybody feels like they need to fit in a box, but really we were all meant to fit outside in our own box. However that is.
Yeah, I mean, you tell kids to embrace what makes you different. Embrace it. Like, different is cool. Be proud of it. We've had kids, the most heartwarming thing for me when we go to schools is when I see kids who have a physical difference, and they're waving at Peter or me, and they want to show us whatever it is that's different. We were just at a school recently where there was a little boy that had hearing aids, and they were like neon green, they were bright. And he was in the front row, and I was watching him as Peter was speaking, and he was just lighting up because he thought it was so cool that Peter was, sticking a can of Altoids to his head with a magnet. So it could, you got to find something magnetic to show off here. I'm looking.
I think you're so awesome. Between that AC/DC, we got to hang out.
Yeah.
You and my son need to hang out too. He has titanium through his whole back, so you have it here. You guys can be titanium friends.
What blows my mind is he gets through the metal detector at the airport with no security. Yeah. I'm like,
oh, do you have one of the cards though? They don't even. Do you have the let you through the thing card?
They don't ask. I'm shocked because
see it.
It's crazy. So Peter is graduating high school in the spring, and we've always kind of stayed locally to do the school assemblies. But next year he's taking a gap year because he's not sure what he wants to do yet. And we're kind of taking the show on the road. So we're open to traveling to schools all over the country to share this message. So we're excited about that, and trying to get the word out that he's available now.
You're available.
More than just I'm like, help me get this boy a job. He's available more than just Chicago, so I got to get him to work.
Well, yes, and our audience is all over the United States and outside of the United States as well. So that's awesome. So if you're listening, I mean, really, he's pretty awesome. I mean, Mom, you're awesome too. But
oh yeah. So yeah, PetesDiary.com is our website.
Yes, and we'll drop all of that below. If you're able to, even the invitation for Wednesday night, we can drop it all in the comments below. I'll put some of it, I'll put your links above, but any of the ones I missed, we can throw below so everybody easily, accessibly can follow. On that YouTube channel, you said there are some videos with you playing music on there?
There are some of, there are.
I'm going to grab one of those and throw one up after the show.
Yeah, he has stuff on Twitter, and you have a lot of guitar stuff.
That's pretty much my entire Twitter.
Yeah, his personal Twitter is all guitar.
I kind of have a following on there, so it's like, okay.
Your personal Twitter is at Pete Dank, right?
Something like that, yeah.
At Pete Dank.
Okay, and we can drop that below as well. So in kind of wrapping up, if others are listening and they want to get involved somehow, if they want to be a part of helping to, bring more awareness to rare disease, because obviously, as we talked about, it impacts over 350 million people worldwide in over 7,000 different conditions. Obviously, Wednesday night is a great thing. Harmony for Hope is an amazing organization to donate funds to get involved with. You noted on your condition, Pete, and syndrome, is there a foundation for that we can drop below, or is there not? Or is it just, does it fall under like rare disease foundations?
Well, that would be Children's Craniofacial Association is, it's a foundation, nonprofit that supports all, anyone with a facial difference, anyone with craniofacial syndrome, and their families. So it's CCAkids.org.
CCAkids.
Yes, CCAkids.org. And like I said, I serve on the board of directors, and Peter, they have actually a Wonder education program that I helped get started, and it's really taken off. And so Peter is a certified Wonder speaker for CCA now. So, it's our charity that's really held us up over the years. Like everyone, if you can find a charity with whatever condition it is that you're dealing with, it's those parents know more than anything, what you're going through, and you can reach out to them for support and all that. So it means the world to us, as does Harmony for Hope. So those are our two partners that we work with right now, nonprofits.
And so if people are also looking, the craniofacial one would be for the syndrome you have, they could also find information about that, correct? Because this is tied together through that organization. Is there research information?
Yeah, CCAkids has, they have booklets about Golden Heart Syndrome and other, like Treacher Collins. Cruisons, yeah. Treacher Collins is sort of the syndrome that Augie from Wonder is based off of. So, they have all the craniofacial, kind of everything that falls under that umbrella.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of.
I miss anything because you guys have a lot of awesome stuff going on.
We're kind of like all over the place.
I love it. You can drop that below, but we will definitely have all the stuff up if you are in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area coming up this Wednesday. And I just heard that on Wednesday, we're not going to have snow.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
We're having snow Tuesday and we're having snow on Thursday.
I don't even look at the weather anymore.
So Wednesday, I was like, yes, we're going to miss that. So that is awesome. Are you going to, before we all finish up, are you going to put something on there?
He's going to work on it here. We're going to see if these keys are magnetic. What do you think?
Yeah, just.
All right, I'm going to get out of the way because, I should anyway.
So.
All right, everybody watch this.
Let's see.
They might be too heavy. I don't know.
Heavy.
Let me see what else I got here.
They sort of work.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
They're kind of heavy.
What about your ear? Is it time for your ear?
Oh.
When he was little, he used to take his prosthetic off and say, "It's bedtime."
Look at it's hanging there, the key. It's so awesome.
There we go.
All right.
Let's see.
Oh, the ear?
Why don't you?
Yeah.
It's bedtime for Pete's ear.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Are we ready?
Is everyone ready? Here it goes.
You can kind of do that,
Yes. Let's see. Turn it again. It was breaking up a little bit. Okay, so is it more of like a sticky material? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's like an adhesive. Yeah.
So do you have to re-adhesive it every day?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. And then it kind of just washes off the adhesive?
You can't have to peel it off.
It's your, everyday Elmer's. But oh yeah, he's had it in a hazmat bag before it's come off, and he's left it in a drawer at school. Yeah.
When you forget your ear.
Mm-hmm. Lend me your ear really has a whole new,
I bet you, with some of your friends, you can be really funny about some things. I bet you have some good humor. And they don't have.
What did you see? He posted, I don't know, Snapchat or Instagram. His ear was hanging off, and he said, "We get it, ladies. You stare because I'm irresistible."
That was good. I was proud.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that was one of my finer.
Oh my gosh. Anyone would love, like everyone watching, you need to have Pete come and be your speaker. Oh my goodness. Laughing and education all at the same time. You couldn't ask for more than that, right?
The boy needs work next year, so petesdiary.com.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for spending almost this hour with me this evening.
Oh, wow.
Guys, I'm honored and blessed to be able to sit here and talk to the both of you, and so thankful. You both are amazing. You know, myself being on this journey for over 2 decades now too, you know, it is a journey in itself, and you guys have embraced it with love, compassion, kindness, research, education, and everything else. So excited to have you guys on. We're going to drop all that below. Again, if you're in the Milwaukee area this coming up Wednesday, Pete and Dede are going to be over at Marquette University, and we'll drop all of that information below. Again, there'll be no snow, they said. Well, that's at least what Mark Dede said. I'm not sure, one of our weathercasters on Wednesday, so everybody should be able to get there safely. So with that, thank you guys so much. I'm going to drop all the info below. You guys can drop info below so everyone can reach out to you. If you guys want any more information about the services that the On Air Advocate offers, you can head on over to onairadvocate.com. And if you want to become part of our private On Air Advocate community, you can head up to the top of this Facebook page, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our community. So on that, thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. Great. Thanks for having us. Come out Wednesday for it's like a free concert.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to have to do that, Pete. We definitely are going to set that up. We're going to have like a jam session on the On Air Advocate. It's going to be great. So we will get that set up. I'm going to put up one of those YouTube videos. And thank you guys again so much. Thank you all for watching tonight. Make sure that you share this broadcast with others that can learn and get educated from it. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.